This podcast is part of the Neverland Network, where faith meets video games, movies, and fun. Find more shows like this at neverlandpodcast.com.
From days long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend.
The dream that came through a million years, that lived on through all the tears.
It came here, the Fandom Nexus.
Fabulous secret powers were revealed to our host as he plugged in his microphone.
I have a podcast!
Here he is, your Spider-Pan, Jeremy.
Yes, I know it's been a long time, but we're back. It's been a very, very long time, I understand. Things kind of got a little wacky, and there's stuff I want to be able to talk about on the show that I wanted to have guest people on to, and we're going to, today, amongst other things, we're going to pay tribute to Mr. Chuck Norris. And in order to pay tribute properly to Chuck Norris, I needed a martial artist in here. So I have the late great, oh, that's not the right term. I have Jonathan Johnson from Diz Radio on with me today because he's a martial artist, because I only got up to my yellow belt back in college, but he's actually an instructor. So I figure he's more qualified, right?
Well, at least I'm still alive. I'm still kicking, and I'm here.
Yeah, there you go. And kicking. Okay, get it? That was all right. That was funny. Okay, it was funny. So yeah,
I'm full of dad jokes. It's all good.
Well, you're entitled. You have some kids there, so you can do dad jokes. I do a dad joke at one of the schools I sub at. Like during recess, I'll make a dad joke, and the kids just look at me like, oh. Being a cat dad doesn't allow you to do jokes, I guess, in their mind. But I'll do it anyway because, doggone it, I'm full of bad humor. I don't know. It's not really that bad, though, right? My jokes are still good. Anyway, I feel like I'm sidetracking. But all right, so today we're continuing on of going through part of what I meant for this show to be in the first place, where we go through movies, television shows, video games, and everything that made an impact in our lives in some fashion. Maybe it formed who we are a little bit as Generation X, or even, you earlier millennials, maybe born in the 80s, grew up in the 80s, you might have experienced some of this. Or even if you grew up where syndicated TV was playing classic television shows from the 60s, the 70s, maybe even the 50s. I don't know how far back we actually go if we talk about Andy Griffith. I don't know when that show started, but it was still black and white. But it is something I remember watching. I haven't decided if I'm doing Leave It to Beaver, because Leave It to Beaver could be really boring. I don't know.
I think Leave It to Beaver could be very good. I had a chance to speak with Jerry Mathers once, so there's some good trivia there. There's some good trivia to Leave It to Beaver. I mean, it's the first time a bathroom was shown on TV.
Okay, so if I do a coverage of Leave It to Beaver, you're coming back on to talk Leave It to Beaver.
Always.
But so far, I've dug back into movies. We talked about Snow White last time I managed to have an episode out. And the other, the earliest movie that I can think of was The Wizard of Oz, for being a really old movie that I remember watching as a kid multiple times and it having an impact on my life. So that will be today's main focus is Chuck Norris and The Wizard of Oz, because let's face it, if Chuck Norris went to Oz, he would have kicked everybody. Yeah. that old Wicked Witch would have been off, and he would have kept him from somebody from trying to rewrite the script and turn the villain into the hero, which always makes me mad. So yeah, I was trying to be also timely with this. Okay, for anyone who's a Wicked fan, let's come back to The Wizard of Oz, to where, somebody stole all their stuff from. So yeah, do I have opinions on that? Yes, I do. Am I going to see the movies? No, I'm not. So do I want to see it on stage? No, I do not. The one thing that you always drive me crazy on is when you start flipping who's the villain and who's the hero and rewriting a classic story. That's a good way to get me to tune out real fast. But okay, so you know what? I forgot to open this up with a good joke, which I keep being told and hearing. Daniel J. Lewis always will tell you this. Start out with saying something before you hit your first sounder button. And I forgot that I had this joke, but I'm going to do the joke now. I may have messed up, but I've got a good joke because there's tons of them that are available for this. And I found a pretty good one that was suggested to me, and I like it. Chuck Norris counted to infinity twice.
I enjoy that joke. That's a good one.
That's a good one. I like it.
That's a good one. I might have to use it at class.
Oh, yeah. I even enjoy one back when this was becoming a thing. And this is a preview for stuff we're going to talk later. Chuck Norris actually popped up on a local morning show here in Kansas City and was talking about how much he just really enjoyed all these. And he said his favorite one is that every night the boogeyman checks under his bed for Chuck Norris.
Yeah, he was really good though at finding the humor in all those things everyone said about him, like all the time. That's the thing that was great though. He embraced it.
Yep. And I hear there's even a book that he collected some of his favorites. So I would love to get that. Just for it'd be a fun read. But what we normally, of course, do for our host chatter before we kind of get started in some news is what have you been watching? And I don't have anything listed that I've really sat down and watched other than we like to watch some live streams of some various cat rescues and animals. That's kind of what we do. You marry a biologist, you watch animals. And so there's one called Tiny Kittens HQ. And what they do is they rescue cats that are maybe farm cats or they're kind of in a colony and they're kind of feral and they might be living under a barn or something like that. And so they'll bring in like the pregnant females and let them have their kittens, then spay the mothers. And then if they're too feral, they'll put them back in the colony. But if possible, they'll adopt them into homes. And of course, all the kittens get adopted into good homes. And right now, I mean, they have a total of 5 pregnant kitties, but 3 of them have now given birth. And so there's a total of 15 kittens that they got cameras on at all times. And they're only, at this point, a few days to almost a week old. And so they're all tiny and they don't have any of their eyes open and they're all just rolling around. And because this is a colony, these 3 mother cats are all kind of mothering the entire group. And so we're watching this because if there's nothing more soothing to put you in a good mood than little baby tiny kittens and they're nursing and they're crawling around and they can't see and they're just so cute. But Tiny Kittens on YouTube. Just look up Tiny Kittens live and you'll probably find them. They got another camera on where the other 2 cats that have not yet given birth. But eventually I'm sure they'll give birth too. But I mean, if you want something to just fill you with a little bit of joy, kittens.
Right. Well, that's just that's that background noise too, right? You're probably leaving this up as just soothing on the TV the whole time like a screensaver, aren't you?
Yeah, you can kind of do that. Actually, as I substitute teach, sometimes when the kids are working on something and I just needed something relaxing, that's what I did actually yesterday. I was substitute teaching a business high school class. Some of it was accounting, some of it was intro to business and everything. But when the kids were just kind of busy on stuff and it wasn't going to be too distracting, I was putting up the kittens. And it turns out the teacher, one time I was there that he was still around, but I have to work a certain shift, even if I do a half day. And he was getting ready to leave for a debate tournament, but he was still around. And I had a different one, the furball farm up where the other cats and the regular teacher, and they just got excited. He went up to the screens like, oh, because cats, So everybody loves, well, okay, not everybody. There are some weird people who hate cats out there. I understand. And I don't know why you hate them so bad. They're cute. Okay. So I have a reason that I'm no longer a dog person. And part of it's because I worked as a postal worker and I got bit by dogs and chased by dogs. And that whole thing about dogs and not getting along with postal worker, it's true. We actually had to do a training to try to protect ourselves from a dog. And I had to carry dog spray. And so, yeah, suddenly dogs got downgraded, but I don't really have that much trouble with my kitty cats. So
I don't know. We have a whole farm here. We got rabbits and cats and dogs. So, we're a whole vet clinic at my house.
Oh, yeah. I call it kind of the zoo. Whenever my wife for a while, we had fish and a lizard and a gecko at one point and turtles. And so we had such a weird variety that I refer to that one section as the zoo. Now we're just down to the 3 cats and then some class pets. There is a bearded dragon still living in one of our rooms, but because I don't think, she hasn't taken that one to school. She took our turtle over to the school as a class pet, but we have a bearded dragon, which have you ever seen those? Those are they kind of just lay around and chill. They're kind of, he's kind of almost orangish. He's a very large lizard, but a lot of people they'll just let him sit on their shoulder because they're very chill. So if you like reptiles, they're kind of neat looking. So, but have you been watching anything interesting?
Oh gosh. Let's see. I don't know. I've been watching a lot of stuff. You know me. I'm kind of all over the board. Let's see. Theater wise, I've recently seen Project Hail Mary, which I thought was very good since I did read the book a few years ago. So
I think I need to see that one because I hear so many good things about it. I got a recommendation though for an obscure movie. I just suddenly remembered.
Yes. Read the book. Read the book. I'm just saying, read the book before the movie. Even though the movie is great, it really, you'll appreciate the movie even more.
Yeah, I hear it's a bit more like a hard sci-fi survival kind of thing than the book. And the movie, they tried to lighten the tone a little bit.
Yes, a lot. They did. They did. So, but it's still tears to be shed during the movie, but I'll say joyful tears.
Oh, good. I was about to say, I don't need to cry right now.
But that's one thing I've been watching. And then, there's stuff on TV and other things like that, of course, so yeah. I'm just kind of all over the board in that aspect. But Project Hail Mary is probably one of the newer ones, and Super Mario Galaxy.
I will probably get to that one eventually. Right now, I don't have money to go out to a movie, but what was fun, and this is something I want to recommend to you while it's still, I don't know if you're running out of time to see it in the theater. We had some people at our church that they were having their wedding anniversary. I don't know what number it was, but they decided they wanted to take a bunch of us from the church to first, there was a special screening of Ben-Hur right before Easter. So I got to see Ben-Hur on a big screen, which was awesome. If you've never seen Ben-Hur, it's fantastic. It's Charlton Heston. It's famous for a chariot race, and what you think is the climax of the movie is not the climax of the movie, because that is not the main point of the whole film. But I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's never seen Ben-Hur. It is a classic, though. But then we got a surprise one. They also bought us tickets for something, Sight and Sound Theater, which is a theater in Branson. It's become a production company. They do high production stage productions usually, but they've made a movie called A Great Awakening. And this, oh my goodness, it is basically the story of George Whitefield, which you may have heard of his name in school. He was basically like the first evangelist in the America, before even we became American, but while we were still British colonies. And it's about his friendship with Benjamin Franklin, told through a lot of journal entries and how his effect of what he did and how it affected the Continental Congress, and even when they came together to write our new Constitution, because the Articles of Confederation weren't working, because we needed at least some stronger centralized government to kind of keep us all as a union. And it's very historical. It's be a great one to watch around July 4th. But it's getting into like the story of George Whitefield and seeing what God was doing. And I do call it an obscure movie because it's not like this big thing, but actually, been getting a lot of reviews from people who viewed it, and oh my goodness, I got to say it was great. So if you get a chance, Jonathan, go see it. It will touch your heart. It will strengthen your faith, and it will make you feel good for your country. I like some of the bases, because people are trying to tell us that these were not God-fearing people who put the country together. And this movie will show you, oh no, they were. Now Benjamin Franklin was more of a deist, and he kind of struggled with the whole thing. But yeah, I don't want to spoil anything in the movie. So, but oh my goodness, it was so good.
Look that one up. Yeah, I'll definitely look that one up. I'm always game for something new, and I'm a faith-based guy. You know that, so yes. I'm always open. So.
And now, thankfully, I can talk about that kind of thing on this podcast. So, yes, I love that I can do this now. We're not being a Disney show makes things a lot better for me. But, oh, my goodness. And I don't know if you'll catch it, because it was like a limited run. And I think they extended it a couple weekends because they didn't realize that how many people were going to show up. And it turned out better than what people expected there for people showing up to see this. So it'll probably be streaming. I would imagine maybe within a month. They'll probably transition it, if not sooner. So if you'll get a chance to out in the theaters, go for it. Otherwise, find it on streaming. As soon as the streaming and I have money.
It'll probably be on Wonder TV soon. I bet that'll probably be the first place it'll go. Yeah, Wonder TV is almost like they have a lot of feel good, faith-based movies on there.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to make a mental note of that. I might want to look it up. I like positive things to sit and watch, Sometimes I could really use it. But yeah, that's something I forgot. I had been watching. I got a chance to watch a new movie. I had never even heard of it until we went. And oh my goodness, I really enjoyed it. They did a really great job. And they even got some historical reenactors to be some of their background to make it as authentic as they could. And oh my goodness, it was fantastic. Okay,
right. It sounds like another movie coming out soon. Not to deviate too much, but there's a new movie coming out called Young Washington.
Yes,
and that looks very entertaining. I don't know what to make of it yet, but the teaser got me thinking.
Yeah.
So.
I like a good historical drama when done right, and it's uplifting when you can tell a good story that ends positively, even if we know the positive ending. But getting to see the details of historical figures and what it was like to be there. Although Valley Forge could be a very depressing part of something like that, but I guess this is focusing on his younger years, back when we were still getting along with Britain in the early days. But yeah, I'm excited for that one too, because I was like, oh, that looks cool. So yes, there's other movies we'll be excited about later. I do have some visit to the trailer park coming up because we have CinemaCon coming along here. So we'll talk about that very quickly. But of course, the next thing we'd like to discuss is what have you been playing? And I have now twice completed Resident Evil 9, also known as Resident Evil Requiem, which is weird because I don't like horror movies in general, but I'll play a horror game. But I think the difference is because I get to fight the evil and smash monsters in the face, or shoot them in the face, as the case may be. And I really enjoyed it, but I've noticed, and I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who's still working through it or still waiting to pick it up, because this is one of the ones I had to find a way to get it, and I charged it on my GameStop card, so I've got to pay it back eventually. But if you've ever played games like The Evil Within or The Evil Within 2, there are definitely things that they borrowed, I guess. Because in The Evil Within, when you kill a weird zombie-ish monster or whatever, you'll drain this weird green jelly kind of looking stuff, and you'll use it to upgrade yourself or whatever. Resident Evil 9 has decided, oh, well, you have this weird device, and it doesn't make any sense. But certain, like infected blood, you can suck up infected blood and collect it, and then use it to make weird improvements to yourself. No, bullets, you know. You use scrap and infected blood, and you're making weaponry. Or the one thing that almost makes sense is you get this. It's like hemoglobin or whatever, like an injector, where because you kind of want to stealth as one of the two characters you're playing as, and you can stealth behind a zombie and use something, and it will it messes with the infected blood and detonates the head, and it's gross and blows up everywhere. But if you don't destroy the head on some of these things, they'll get back up again. You know. So there's a lot of weird stuff that you make. And I reminded me, as soon as I started doing it, I was like, this is totally like The Evil Within. And then the other thing is The Evil Within has a moment, I think it was the first game, where there's like this open, like destroyed area, and there's nothing but like a subway train going between two areas hanging over this cliff, right? So it's like a bridge in between two bits of a cliff and nothing but the train hanging in between. And Resident Evil 9 completely did the exact same thing, where there was a subway train that I had to cross through. And of course, there was a nasty monster that was trying to get me while I was on the subway cart, which of course, Evil Within did the same thing. But I guess they're recognizing The Evil Within had some good ideas, but was not as big a seller as it should have been, because The Evil Within was actually created by the guy who did Resident Evil 4, the original version, not the remake. And he had a lot of great ideas, but he kind of branched off and went off on his own away from Capcom and made his own games. I think they were even released through Bethesda. Don't quote me on that, but they seem to have used some of his ideas because they liked it, because this is a collection of everything you like about a survival horror with a bit of action mixed in. This gives you everything, because you have moments of complete terrorized where you're this FBI agent who's sat at a desk her entire life, you know, and now she's out into this nightmare of a scenario. And then other times you get to play as a series favorite Leon Kennedy and go kick zombies in the face. So I definitely, though, giving it a high recommendation if you like this kind of thing.
Oh, I definitely love those kind of games. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since I've played a Resident Evil game. You know, I don't have anything on the new game front that I've been playing. However, I have been spending a lot of times at this place locally called the Garcade, where it's a retro arcade with everything you can think of in there. Every kind of game you can think of, from pinball to even Dance Dance Revolution. But it is $20 for the day, and you don't pay for the games, and your bracelet is good all day. So I will say, myself and my boys, you know, we go in there and we'll get there when they open, play away, leave for lunch, come back, play some more, and we will be there until they close the doors at 11 p.m. So I've been doing a lot of retro gaming lately.
There you go. Yeah.
And let me tell you, I'm only 2 away from being the high score on Tron. So, you know, nothing new, but it also brought me back to those childhood days. I'm telling you.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's one of the things that I've really been kind of enjoying, and I'm burning on credit cards a little bit, but I have like a personal account thing of credit cards. We kind of Dave Ramsey our fun money, and so I did find a way to get. They recently released the Marvel Maximum Collection, and it's got. And I'm probably, now that I've done, I need to do Resident Evil 9 one more time because I missed one item to collect a trophy. But I want to sit down and I played the Maximum Carnage, and there's some cheats on there, so I was able to beat it. I gave myself infinite lives. I've beaten the 6-player X-Men by myself. I want to get online and play with some other people and load up, but you know, like the arcade X-Men game, and the arcade version of Captain America and the Avengers. I haven't sat down on that to play with it, so I'm going to do that one too. But I think I want to go online so I can have the other Avengers, and I got to figure out who I want to play as, because I give respect to Hawkeye. Hawkeye is still cool, but I'll probably play as Cap or Iron Man though.
Yeah. I mean, my son is addicted to that game right now, and he plays his favorites, even though they're, let's just say, they're probably not the best choices. But he's like, "It's my favorite guy. I don't care."
That's right. It's fun to play the guy you like. Like I'll always play Cyclops on the X-Men game.
Oh yeah, X-Men game. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Oh man,
that's
especially
so great.
Well, one of my favorite classic games though, since I've been at the arcade recently, is Street Fighter versus X-Men. That is always still one of my favorites, and I'd always team up Ryu with Wolverine, and it was so good.
Oh, did you manage to get that? They put that together on a collection for PS4 about a year ago, and finally got all the Marvel games like that. Oh, because I always would go play the Marvel versus Capcom so I could have like Spider-Man and Wolverine teamed up. This is what I would usually do, and whoop up the snot on everything. Oh my goodness,
it's good stuff. You know, it also makes me excited now because they have all these. X-Men are coming. They're coming soon. I won't, I'll just say if you pay attention closely in the latest Spider-Man trailer, but then also, you got the new Street Fighter movie coming out too. So, I'm just excited all around.
I haven't gone over all of our show notes with you. Hopefully your screen is now showing you at least this screen where I got my show notes, right?
I do see them. I just kind of go on a tangent, and I think we've known each other long enough to kind of read each other's minds.
It's like, gee, you seem to know what's coming. But yes, well, we definitely have some stuff to talk about in the trailer park. But I guess before we get there, we should jump into some games, toys, and other news by hitting this button. That's not the right button. There it is. I do that every time. I need to change those buttons locations. Either I'll just start doing trailers before I do news. I don't know. Of course, if you really want to talk retro,
spanning the Disney and Geek universe.
I forgot where I found this cover of music, but this is actually music from an old 80s. Yeah, I figured it was an 80s Nintendo game.
From around Neverland.
It's the opening screen from. Does anybody know? Did that sound familiar to you?
I could be completely wrong. It sounded either like Mega Man or Zelda.
Neither one.
Neither one. Man,
it is a game that I didn't realize there was more than one level to it. Oh, I didn't need to know I was getting a new email. That was loud and hopefully it didn't pick up in the podcast. But yeah, it is a game that I didn't realize. Oh my gosh, there's actually 5 levels because I never got through the first level because it's very strange because every other level based on how you just start, you are climbing up. But the problem is like you can't like Metroid. Metroid, if you fell off of something when you're climbing it, you just drop back down. This game, if you fell, oh no, well, you're dead. And you get 1 life. But it's got a few role-playing elements that I didn't realize until I watched some people do an actual playthrough of the thing. But I'll leave it at that, and let's see if anybody ever knew that one. Woohoo! You have to send an email. Let me know if you know what the music's. I've been using it for years. But it's a game that I completely stink at, but I just like the tone of it. It seems to have a very news thing and yet cheerful. But anyway, so the first thing that, and this has been causing some controversy here, so I had to jump into it. Because I'm still excited. I'm hoping they're not going to disappoint me. But Entertainment Weekly did have an article, and you can read this online, where they had a set visit, and they got a chance to talk to Nicholas Galitzine. I don't know, the guy who's playing Prince Adam and He-Man. I can't pronounce everybody's name. And they also talked to Camilla. Oh, golly, I forgot her last name. I didn't write it down. Goodness sakes. And a lot of people have been throwing around a quote. The one thing that drives me a little bonkers is people who rage bait. And they try to find one tiny little quote that doesn't really have a whole lot to do with anything, but maybe one actor's thought, and they will just devour and destroy an entire movie based off of one actor.
Yeah, and take it out of context too.
And and the context that I kind of found that I think kind of hits in with what the actor's playing Tila is Camila something, because the article is mentioning, and part of when they're talking to Nicholas, I can't say his last name, but he says that Adam comes into the story when you're going to get to start on Eternity before he gets to Earth, and him and Tila are training together to be part of the Royal Guard because eventually Tila will become captain of the guard and everything, and Adam as the prince needs to be able to defend Eternia, and Adam he's kind of the little guy, and this makes a bit of sense, when you look at the old Masters of the Universe figures. Oh, I haven't mentioned we're talking Masters of the Universe, have I? But like all the figures were like buff and huge and warriors and all this other stuff. But so they wanted to go for an angle of Adam looking around and like feeling a little outsider, like, because I am not this buff, I'm this kid, and I see all these tough, buff, masculine warriors, and I'm not that. And he won't gain that really until he becomes He-Man later. And then suddenly he's given all the power. And so how basically the female Camille, or I'm not looking at it the wrong way. How the actress playing Tila is viewing this. So this is what her quote was. It said, "It's hard to talk about Tila without talking about her relationship to her father, because I feel like so much of who she is has to do with how she was, I guess, let down as a kid," she explains. And I feel like that really built this outer wall around her that's sort of like shielding this inner sensitivity. She's affected by toxic masculinity just as much as the men in the film. And I think she's sort of adopted masculinity to protect herself in this very masculine world. It's how she survives. She's in survival mode and has been for a very long time. But you cannot throw toxic masculinity around without people rolling their eyes like, why is masculinity considered to be toxic? Can we talk about toxic femininity? Because I've seen that too. That kind of thing. You get the whole conversation going on because she chose those words, which if she hadn't chosen that words or even said that, then nobody would really be concerned. But I think she's trying to put it in there, and I do not agree with her. I don't think it's a toxic thing then when people are trying to defend their planet from Skeletor, and we're buff and we're warriors because of it. But her being a girl in that world, that could make it very interesting for Teela, where she's going to adopt some of that, because Teela is supposed to be kind of tough, and she's a warrior. She's captain of the guard. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense for Teela, but I think she just chose some words that she shouldn't have. And so, of course, the rage baiters are like, wow, she said that. This movie's going to be woke. Oh, all the other stuff. It's like, I know there's some things that they probably should not have done with some of their casting, but I'm still excited. It still looks cool. I'm still going to go. And if they disappoint me, I'm going to be very upset if they didn't make a good movie. But I have faith in Travis Knight, the director who did like Kubo and the Two Strings, a great movie, did that Bumblebee movie and a lot of other stuff. The director's got some great work. I don't know about who wrote it because they're looking on some of the success of Barbie, and I don't know if they brought any of the writers over. And I don't know if I didn't watch the Barbie movie. Nothing about it sounded good to me of what I would want to see, how they treat men in that. So I'm hoping none of that and the writing came over, but that stuff I'm not going to know really until I get a chance to see it, because I'm trying to avoid any spoilers or anything like that. But that's been a kind of controversial thing. But can we all just settle down for a minute and just look at what we got presented in the trailer and then decide, okay, let me give this a try before we take one actress, what she says, because we should not be listening so much to a lot of actors and actresses out of Hollywood anyway, because we know they're a little crazy, but sometimes that little bit of crazy makes them good entertainers. But there are some that, they say things that we don't agree with, but you got to look at their work more sometimes than you look at the actors, because once the actor starts to overlook their work, and I'm kind of at that point where I saw that there's a new version for the Fockers. There's a Fockers in law or something. And Robert De Niro has just made an idiot of himself to me so much that I don't want to see him, and I don't want to see Ariana Grande. And that's too bad, because I kind of like Ben Stiller still. So, but I don't plan to see that movie because I look at the two actors and they've got so public with stuff that it does kind of get in the way. And I do understand that, but this is kind of a new actress. I mean, she can have her thing, but she's not trying to say anything bad about the movie or, but I'm going to give her a shot to see how she presents the character, because there's a lot of good stuff with what she said that I understand. It's like, yes, that is where Teela should be at, as someone who's, been trained by her father, who was the man at arms for them. And so I am not going to get dissuaded, and I'm skipping out on all the YouTubers who are trying to rage bait you because of one little line, one sentence that they took, because she chose some words that I don't even like those words either. But I'm not going to let that push me out of going to see the movie, because this is finally, it looks like the He-Man movie we've always wanted. So
as long as they keep it as long as a movie isn't always about social commentary, and it's just entertainment,
right?
Like, this is the kind of movie that needs to be entertainment. To me, that's the biggest issue when we came back to the DC movies. That's why the newest Superman movie, it gets bashed. Does it have flaws? Yes. However, it was a superhero movie the way a superhero movie should have been. Not that Snyderverse, Dark Knight, all of those movies, Christopher Nolan, which, unpopular opinion, I'll go toe to toe with people. They're not good movies. Not good story, not good characters. And Heath Ledger is not the best Joker. People only think that because he died.
He was entertaining, though.
I will go toe to toe with people. That is not what a superhero movie should be.
Yeah, there was too much leaning onto the realism, which made it kind of different. I was still entertained by those, and I still like those, but I can understand how you wouldn't, because sometimes leaning too far in the realism is almost like when you go like Joel Schumacher, who leaned too far into the ridiculous. Well, even Batman Returns went a little too far into the ridiculous. That first 89 Batman movie is like, nailed it.
Yep.
Nailed it.
In the end, movies should be entertaining. And I hold out that He-Man, as long as it is entertaining for the entire family and it's not trying to, cram anything down our throats.
Yeah.
And that goes either way. I will never talk three things on any show that I'm a guest on or mine. Religion, politics, or the Great Pumpkin, which I guess this time I can talk about religion because this show can open. But I'm just saying, either way, just make it an entertaining He-Man movie so we can all be like, yes, this is what I wanted to see.
Yes. Because so far, and everybody's still like, we're still looking for Orko. I'm like, if Orko doesn't show up, they could do an entire story about Orko showing up in the next movie. Because Orko has like another world he's from. You could do an entire story about like that and stuff. Because I mean, they, I think even in the Filmation series, they had one where, was it Durrell? Something like that. The female version of Orko, pretty much, where she came from the planet that their homeworld was in danger because of some threat, and she needed Orko to come back with her to go and save him. So of course He-Man came along, but everything works kind of backwards there. And like Orko is a very powerful magician on his homeworld, but everything when he comes to Eternia, it goes in reverse and it ruins all of his magic. But on his homeworld, he's very powerful and he's very famous of that. And so He-Man has a hard time he can't seem to get to the power of Grayskull. He has to do everything in an opposite manner to be able to turn into He-Man, which he learns later. It's a great woof woof. And so it's a great episode. And I'm like, if they could borrow a little bit from that thing and we have an adventure on, because you got a chance to like, okay, we've introduced Eternia. Now we can introduce another world. And so we could have stuff on Orko's world and then slowly work our way to introducing She-Ra into this, maybe. You know, there's so much they could do if they just get it right this time.
Oh, definitely. I think there's a lot of things they can get right. But, you know, that 80s movie, still just as fun.
Yeah, I know. The older I get, the more I like it.
and you know me, I will watch anything and everything, even if I'm not interested, because I will never not give something a chance. Right. I may be like, I'm never getting that time back, which is how I felt with the Barbie movie, but I will still give it a chance.
Good on you. There's some stuff that I try to give a chance that I'm like, but I feel like, I'm getting older and I don't want to waste my time if something really looks bad. But there's a lot of stuff so many things that you'll give it a shot and share on it. And I'm like, I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, I tend to dig into so many different facets. You know that.
Oh, yes. All right. But the next thing I want to get into, and I really wish I could, I'm going to move this out of my way. Pardon me. I really wish, let me get a sip of water. I talked for a while and now I got a cough. I wish I had video of this, but I'm sure they'll release it maybe by the end of the weekend. But they showed a teaser of Avengers Doomsday at CinemaCon. Entertainment Weekly was nice enough to post an article to tell us what we're going to see. So I'm going to read some of it for you, not the entire thing because it will talk some other stuff, but let's just walk through what they saw at CinemaCon that hopefully we'll get to see very soon on YouTube or something. It says the trailer opens with the signs for Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters covered in rubble. Charles Xavier cowers in fear as he sees a huge fire out of his window. We then see Downey's Doom in profile with his green cloak covering part of his face. Later, we see Thor swinging his axe, Stormbreaker, at the villain, who casually stops the attack with the palm of his hand. This moment gives us the first clear, dead-on look at Doom's iconic metallic mask. I fought many warriors in my time. I can't do a good Australian accent right now, apparently. I fought many warriors in my time who are far stronger than all of us put together, and they died. They died facing enemies and threats. That scared me far less than this one. Thor's narrating, of course, in the trailer. This is him still talking. Everything that they sacrifice will be for nothing if we do not stand together. Put aside your petty squabbles and presume nothing except this. If you return, you will return as brothers and sisters. But mark my words, we're going to need a miracle. And we see a new improved Avengers Tower with a red A logo where the Fantastic Four meet Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, Sam Wilson, currently Captain America, and Scott Lang, Ant-Man. In a separate scene, we see Namor on the throne as he interacts with Wakanda's M'Baku and Shuri. I'm not that concerned with it. I didn't see that second movie with them because I saw what they were doing with Namor. I'm like, why are you guys changing Namor so much? And so I kind of was disappointed. And I was like, I don't know if I want to see it. Gambit later is going to be fighting Shang-Chi. I'm not sure what they're fighting about. I'm curious about that. I liked the Shang-Chi movie. I guess some people didn't, but I thought it was fun because I like, kung fu movies. So
I thought that movie was fantastic. Actually, we just recently rewatched it like a week ago.
Oh, I haven't watched it in a while. I think I saw it in the theater, but I don't think I've watched it since. I don't know if I've bought a copy of it. I probably do. I need to sit and watch it. But yeah, apparently
I'm still waiting for the sequel that they teased in the credits.
Yeah, well, maybe this will set it up a little bit. I don't know. But Gambit's going to knock a few of the rings off of his wrist, which they did something weird with the rings there, but it was still entertaining. Then there's a scene where Rebecca Romijn as Mystique. That's kind of fun. Is fighting Yelena, and the shapeshifter adopts the former Black Widow's appearance as they battle. Then back at the Fantastic Four, Wakandan Tola Kanil. I don't know what the heck Tola Kanil is. They were meeting up, but Sue Storm is appearing using her force fields to hold back something massive. And in a separate scene, we see the same shot of Scott Summers, Cyclops, James Marsden, of course, playing it again, letting out a massive optic blast that was previously seen in the teaser. And I hope they do not do Cyclops dirty like they did in those original X-Men movies, because I feel like they did Cyclops dirty. That's my, I feel like we got Wolverine movies, and I loved Hugh Jackman.
And this time he's not going to be with a CGI character like Sonic or an Easter Bunny or anything.
Yeah, I like James Marsden. He does a lot of fun movies. So, and I like him as Cyclops. I just wish they weren't, they were doing the character a little bit better, because the deleted scenes that they had for the first film made Cyclops seem a little better, and you understand his perspective, because it seems like they just want to treat him like he's some sort of like douchebag jerk thing or something. And I'm like, no, that is not who Cyclops is. So he's the Boy Scout one, So that's why he kind of clashes up with Wolverine, is because he's such a kind of a Boy Scout. But anyway, the trailer ends with Thor seeing his hammer being summoned to another person nearby, a bearded Steve Rogers. Hey, pal, the super soldier says. It's not possible, Thor says in disbelief. Okay, now it just talks about that we've got teased these other characters, but I guess that's where the trailer ended. And I've been worried that they, kind of been messing up with Marvel, but if this gives them a chance to kind of reset, I want to understand how they sneak Robert Downey Jr. in as Doom. I mean, if we just never see his face, then you can give it away with it, because he's a very good character actor, and he could put on a completely different voice, give a varying style accent. They can invent an accent, and we could say, well, we know it's Robert Downey Jr., but we're not going to say why does he look like Tony Stark? We're not going to have that problem, I don't think. I think they're going to keep his face completely hidden. If we ever see his face should be kind of scarred and messed up anyway, because his own experiment.
Shift. I think this is going to shift, and we're going to see Captain Hydra and all of those, and the new Avengers are going to be the ones to come in and save the day in the end. Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen, which is why I think it will be Iron Man being Dr. Doom.
That would be so weird. I never did get around to watching the Thunderbolts movie, because I was kind of iffy on it, and I never got around to it. I probably should sit and watch it, but I don't have my Disney Plus account anymore, so.
But I think that's where this whole movie is going, honestly. I think it is going to be that storyline where we're going to get Cap and all these guys who are going to be the opposites and the villains. And it's going to be the new Avengers and some of the old school X-Men and them to try to right the wrongs. Weird, wild stuff.
Who knows? I'm kind of curious. I feel like I need to watch Thunderbolts for some setup, because I think they have done, like, especially we've already got a multiverse. I think there's always, when you have a multiverse, you like to create that alternate world where all the heroes are actually the villains in this alternate reality, because DC's done it.
Well, and Marvel's done it plenty of times. Like I said, Captain Hydra and all those are fantastic comics to read. So
I don't think I've read that one. But of course, the most famous one to me is the Star Trek Mirrorverse. I love that one.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's a great episode. Oh, my goodness. Love it, love it, love it. Oh, yes. And then even, the one where Captain Kirk, I forgot what they do to him, but they kind of split his personality.
Oh, yes.
To where he's more masculine. Yes.
Okay, yeah. It's been a long time since I've thought about that.
I am Captain Kirk. Oh, my goodness. Yes. I love some classic Star Trek. So overall, though, we've got to kind of a look at him, but we've got to see Doom with a mask on. But of course, the other exciting thing, and this, as soon as CinemaCon started, good old Mel Brooks had to get on there on the Facebook and have a video say, I know you were all hoping for the search for more money, but I already found the money. So, but you always have been asking me for years is, when's the new one coming? So it's Spaceballs, the new one. I'm a little disappointed because I did kind of want the search for more money, but it's funny. The title to me is funny because of, Mel Brooks' humor and how the way he phrased it. Like, you're always asking me, when's the new one coming? So he literally called it the new one. So
right. Well, and it has so many other things to go with that too. Like, yes, it's the new one because everyone keeps asking, but also how many times have you watched a requel or a reboot now? And you're like, I watched Red Dawn, the new one. I mean, Jumanji, the new one. I mean, so it still plays with that pop culture.
It totally does. Because Mel Brooks, that's the way he thinks. He's a genius. Now, I don't know about every writer that he's had, working on Spaceballs, but I'm sure he was overlooking everything. Because I did watch a thing that Entertainment Tonight, of course, has a YouTube channel, and they got a chance to talk to the old cast all together. And it's kind of weird if you watch it. Like, Rick Moranis is standing kind of in front because he is kind of a short guy compared to everybody else, but he's like awkwardly not facing the reporter. And I know it's been a while since he's done anything like this. And he basically was retired. He was taking care of his family. Good on him, to do that kind of thing. Because as you say, never neglect business for family. or never neglect family for business.
Family for business. Yeah, that's how I close out the show every week.
Yes.
Never neglect family for business. You can always make money. You get one shot to make a memory.
Yep. And Rick Moranis chose the right path on that. So him being back, he just looks kind of awkward in this video I saw. But they are talking like Josh Gad. I think even helped out a little bit. I think Josh Gad might be playing the new Barf. I heard something about John Candy's son was going to be coming in to be Barf or something, but I'm not sure about that anymore because Josh Gad was in there and talk about how much they're trying to do right by John Candy and his legacy as Barf and everything. And then they pointed to another guy who's like a director and another guy who I think was a writer. So it wasn't directly written by Mel Brooks, but Mel Brooks does like working with other people like, Gene Hackman, for instance, wrote Young Frankenstein. Then Mel Brooks kind of tweaked it a little bit. And they'd come to heads a little bit on and disagreeing on some things, but the end product was amazing. So I'm hoping Mel Brooks did.
So was Young Frankenstein the musical. I loved that. Mel Brooks wrote all the music for it. I want to
see it.
I want to see that become a film because when I saw it on Broadway there, it was so fantastic, and the music and the soundtrack is so good.
Oh my goodness, that's another one because I got to see the Back to the Future musical. And I enjoyed it, even though I feel like it had more songs than it needed because they had to take away from the story a little bit to be able to fit so many songs in there. But it was still tons of fun to watch. And so Young Frankenstein as a musical says, I'm excited. I want to see it. If they ever bring that to Kansas City, I will try to find a way.
I don't know if it'll ever revive again. Man, when did that hit? I think that was like 20 years ago that came out.
Oh, my goodness. And 20 years ago seems like a blink of an eye anymore.
Yes, that's when they were doing Army of Darkness. The Evil Dead, the musical came out at the same time. So,
which I did find a production of that one that was put up on YouTube. I don't know how long I was able to stay on YouTube because it's not necessarily legal sometimes, but I did get the chance to see the Evil Dead.
Yeah, so it was good.
It was ridiculous. I loved it.
I sat in the splatter zone when I saw it.
Of course you did. That just completely is on par with who you are. It's like, yep, of course.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe will be back right after these messages.
Are you a fan of Adventures in Odyssey, Lamplighter Theater, or Jonathan Park? Want to join other fans for discussions or behind-the-scenes info about these shows? Or maybe you're looking for more great audio drama to listen to with your family. Do you enjoy hearing exclusive interviews with the cast and crew of your favorite shows? Then Audio Theater Central is the podcast for you. I'm JD Sutter. Since 2010, Audio Theater Central has been exploring the family-friendly audio drama world through news, reviews, and interviews. Join me and a rotating cast of co-hosts each month for another episode featuring the latest updates, in-depth reviews of new releases, and conversations with the actors, writers, directors, sound designers, and composers who create your favorite audio dramas. And maybe we'll introduce you to some great shows you've never heard of before. Find us at audiotheatercentral.com or in your favorite podcast app. That's audiotheatercentral.com.
And now back to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Okay, so one more ad, of course. Now, if you happen to be a Patreon member or an exclusive member on Red Circle, you don't have to hear those ads because I will make two different versions, of course, of the show. And, of course, you'll hear a little promo for other podcasts and everything. But you still have to listen to me talk about Dubby. Because Dubby is a fantastic product. If you happen to want some energy, you're a gamer, but you definitely do not want the jitters because that'll make you miss, right? So Dubby, and you'll find, of course, at links at neverlandpodcast.com. Dubby is powdered energy drink that you just mix with some water in your favorite cup. They even have some cups for you to purchase if you'd like. A lot of different options, a lot of different flavors. Get healthy energy. Get vitamins. Don't get a bunch of caffeine like a Monster Energy drink. Monster Energy is not good for you. Too much caffeine, not good for you, okay? Have your coffee in the morning, but then stop. Maybe a soda, but yeah, too much caffeine, bad. But get some good vitamins in you, and Dubby will offer all the products for you to you. I get a little kickback, so you're helping out the show. So that is Dubby, and also whatever products popped up that are randomly. So if something weird pops up, okay, because I'm coming from a Christian perspective, but I have checked back on my show, and I've had like casinos popping up, and I'm like, I bet people are mad at me for that, but I don't have much control over the ads that play that are automatic through Red Circle, but I get a kickback for having the ads. So if you don't want to hear those ads, become a member on Patreon, small fee, and you can get it ad free, and you'll even get some episodes early. So it's totally worth it. So that way you can have your fun and not be given a casino ad. I'm trying to fix that, but there's only certain things I can do within Red Circle on the ad front to control anything, and I don't have a whole lot of control. But it is finally time to hit Yep, this button here.
Mama, another gator got in the house.
Another gator? Give me that shovel. Come here.
Get him, Mom. Get that gator.
The Neverland Trailer Park.
Yeah, and I still use that same clip from that classic film. Hopefully everybody still recognizes that movie.
It is a great movie. I actually, Michael Leon Woolley was actually, oh my goodness, he was like my second guest ever 16 years ago on my show.
Oh, did he get to play the son in that clip or something?
No, so it was he was way in the background, little small, tiny, itty bitty role, and then he went on to be in greater things like The Princess and the Frog.
Oh, okay. So I don't recognize the guy's name.
Fun thing. All right,
I'll have to look into that one. Okay, but we do have some trailers, and the difference between if you listen to this and listen to this radio is when I mess up and flub up a word, I just keep it in there because it's probably funny, right? Jonathan sounds perfect and sculpted, and I sound nuts. But I've noticed.
I don't know about that.
The brain is weird and does weird things, and so somebody actually lets me teach classes like this. But anyways, I don't have to click that button. I actually have everything up here. So final trailer we got for Star Wars: The Mandalorian.
We've all heard stories of the Mandalorian bounty hunter and a child.
I only hunt Imperial war criminals. I'll take out every bad guy in your deck of cards.
This isn't about revenge. It's about preventing another war.
Before going into harm's way, check your armor first.
We're protecting everything the rebellion fought for.
Good luck. You're gonna need it.
Hey! Oh, the horrible baby. The bad baby.
Strap in.
We need a professional.
Hang on.
What happens when you're not there to protect him?
You good? I'll be right behind you. Go! Go!
Mandalorian, you will suffer. Then it will be his turn.
Monsters. The old protect the young. And then the young. Protect the old. It's time.
Are you scared? You should be.
Good job, baby.
This is the way.
May 22nd, right in time pretty much for my birthday. I mean, my birthday is like 4 days later. But this trailer. I wasn't sure about it with the first the cheesy version they're doing the logo. I was kind of unsure. It's like, is this going to be good or not? But the more they show me some stuff of this, I'm like, oh, I'm in. I am so in.
Right. Well, for me, the whole idea is, well, one, I think it's going to be great seeing it on the big screen.
Yes.
But also, I actually really like the logo treatment for it and all those things, because to me, this is kind of like this generation's Ewok Adventures. So I wanted it to be this fun, kind of retro looking adventure, something you would take like your young kids to, that there's all these elements where you can enjoy it, but also, I mean, Grogu, and then you got like Zeb from Rebels and things like that. So it makes it this, I don't know, like I said, it's this generation's, caravan of courage.
Yeah. And it's great finally getting to see, a bit more of the New Republic, getting, kind of the early days of it being put together and having Sigourney Weaver in there and stuff. Oh my goodness. I'm excited just kind of see how it all fits together. And it's cool to see a fleet of X-Wings flying there with some Y-Wings in the background. Oh my goodness. like the whole thing.
It'll be good. It's just, I mean, The Mandalorian, got its, huge following, Disney Plus and that. And I know that we're not going to see any more after this. And to me, this is a good way to go out on that bang. I mean, you're going to have the haters and the lovers, but getting to see this one time on the big screen is going to be a good, curtain close for it.
Yeah. Who knows? They might even find a way that they can continue the story with, maybe another movie. I don't know. I kind of want to see how they put it together. Because I mean, if they did a good enough job and this does really well, I know somewhere in Disney it's gonna be like, can we have another adventure? Who knows? Because I feel like the fate of Grogu we kind of know, although I don't like the sequels, but I have a feeling that Kylo Ren probably kills Grogu later on. And when the whole thing goes down. But then again, Grogu didn't go in the Jedi Temple. He's going off a different way. So I'm kind of wondering if they can find a way of whatever happened to Grogu and maybe, well, of course, it takes him a long time to grow up. So you could have an entire different generation in a completely different scenario where Grogu is running around and doing things when he gets about, to be 2 foot tall instead of 1 foot tall,
Right. We're going to have to see where that next movie comes to. That next one coming out, that's going to be a start of a whole new Star Wars story anyways after this. So
we'll just kind of see what happens. So I feel like Disney has been trying to refresh things and be like, okay, we kind of made some mistakes with stuff. And so they kind of took a step back on Marvel.
And said, get rid of Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah. And I'm hoping they can do good for us again. Otherwise, they're trying at least, but
I think the biggest thing is they have to pull back.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
There was too much
coming out with something all the time, every year. No, we need like a good 3-4 year gap.
Yeah.
So like,
take your time when you make something.
For it. There's a want for it.
Yeah.
It's give it that time to grow.
Yeah.
When you saturate it, nobody cares.
Yeah.
So.
And even though I do kind of want to see some of the animated series that are currently on Disney Plus, I don't have my Disney Plus account right now, but I start back to normal work and because I do want to check out the Darth Maul series that they started, and I didn't get to finish watching the Bad Bunch. Yeah. So there's some stuff. The animated's been pretty good.
Bad Batch was really good.
Yeah,
I really loved Skeleton Crew actually. I thought that was a fantastic live action series for kids. I just thought it was great. It was fantastic. But Maul it's been really good so far. And I am excited in August. The entire cast of Maul is going to be at one of the Comic-Cons I go to. So
nice.
We're going to see if I really like it. Then maybe I'll go up and talk with them.
Yeah, and it reminds me because didn't they call it like Shadow Warrior or something? But I'm trying to look over at what my audiobooks are at. I don't think they're on my shelf. But there was back when episode 1 was coming out, there's always some books that go and kind of give you some background to some of the characters. And there was an audiobook that I had, and it was Darth Maul Shadow Warrior. It actually had a pretty good story. And I was wondering if they brought any of those elements into the series at all. I'm kind of curious.
It's hard to get behind Maul sometimes because, his story continuing after episode 1 is
weird.
I've had to look past that for the joy of the character. And that's how I feel about Mandalorian then, pulling it right back. There's times when the Mandalorian, you're like, okay, you're trying too hard to tie it in. Just make it its own story. And that's what I think this movie is going to finally do is it's going to define it as its own. All right. We don't have Luke. We don't have the throwbacks, but here we are. Great. Now you're tying it together.
Yep. So we'll see. May 22nd. There's a lot of stuff coming around in like late May I'm excited about. But here's something else that I think is available to watch now that I might actually watch today.
In wrestling, you should be remembered from all the wars you've been and everything you've done. Look at this! I don't believe it! Some people hate me, but if I'm wrong, I think people don't know the truth. Who was this guy really? That's the hardest part, standing up. I really was here for a reason more than just wrestling.
The fans liked believing Hulk was Superman.
Is it art? Is it fakery? What is it?
Oh, there she goes. 1, 2, kicks out. Life was so clear. Where did that life go? The mistakes shone through.
Most of us think of Hulk Hogan as the king of the ring. But was there a sinister side to his success?
What Hogan preaches is apparently not what he practices.
I was running pretty hard partying. Maybe I was drunk. Maybe I was high. I don't know what to tell you.
It's kind of like a recipe for disaster.
There are millions of kids that have believed in me and what I stand for.
You're a liar.
The character was so strong. Terry got lost along the trip.
Hulk Hogan has torn down everything that he once built.
Really want me to tell the truth? Okay. You know, I know where all the bodies are buried.
We literally didn't speak to each other anymore. But I realized I still love him.
One night they love you, one night they don't.
I mean, there's Hulk and there's everybody else. Terry Bollea was just a human being. But when I went in that ring, brother, I was Hulk Hogan. The character helps people. That's all I know. I can't predict what the final act of the story is going to be. But the legend of Hulk Hogan will live forever.
So this is on Netflix. Hulk Hogan, Real America. Okay, April 22nd. All right, so it's not there yet. So I'm looking forward to this because I have already previously read his autobiography. And yeah, he's, as Terry Bollea, his regular life, he has gone through a lot. And I do appreciate in his book, he talks really bad about the depression after the divorce and all that, because he did tank his life pretty bad and he was near suicidal, but he found a way to come back from that. And that actually has helped, Philip we'll talk about it, and actually got to meet Terry Bollea and just addressed him as Terry. And it's like, your story helped me not in my own life. Because Philip had a really bad depression and everything with stuff that he had a very abusive marriage that I don't want to get into the details of that and everything. But yeah, Philip had been through it, but reading Terry Bollea's story kind of helped him. And what I always love a good redemption story where somebody can maybe wreck themselves, but then come around. And Terry Bollea, when you see how like the videos later where he gave his life back to Christ, he kind of, because he's apparently had given his life to Christ back at 14 is what he'll tell you, but he recommitted and was baptized and came out a completely different person, because that's what happens. And I want to see that when his final interview, because I've seen him talking on like 700 Club and everything. He was giving those last interviews and how much his life has changed. And he realized like the purpose of his life was not wrestling. And he kind of mentions that a little bit in this trailer, that I kind of want to see him free to share that on a Netflix, either documentary series or one shot. I'm not sure if it's how long this is going, but to be able to go and see a guy who did, he, as one character persona, he had everything, but underneath like all the problems he was having in his life, and to have that turned around to be the person he could be, to be a little closer to the persona that he gave. I'm kind of looking forward to see that. I like a good redemption story.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I mean, I grew up a Hulkamaniac, so it is what it is. Like for me, I grew up hardcore Hulkamaniac, and I had a chance to meet Hogan twice, 2 different occasions, and it's one of those things where when he's in character, you're lifting people up and you're doing things. And I get the idea of the redemption story and where he came, where he's going, how it went. And, that's good for everything as well. But, he says it even in that trailer that, Terry can have a lot going on, but when you're that persona, it's you're helping so many people you don't realize. And I feel that's everybody in life all the time. I mean, I feel I'm that way sometimes. I could have a million things going on in my life, but when I'm on my show, I am positive and happy. And when I'm teaching on the mats in martial arts, same thing. I'm that role model for those kids and things like that. And, there's a weight that comes with that. So I'm really excited to see how this plays out and, the way it's spun, because a Netflix documentary can go either way.
Yeah. And I'm worried about like they, putting it together, and since he's passed where he doesn't get to have as much influence on it. But I'm hoping that some people came in there. It's like, okay, because like, well, WWE even at one point did like a complete trashing of Ultimate Warrior and just brought out every bad thing without sharing some of the positives of it until they kind of made up with him. And I love the way Ultimate Warrior got to go out with his last 3 days being inducted into the Hall of Fame, giving a great speech. He had given his life to Christ and turned his life around too, and being able to give a great speech on Raw and then passing away shortly after. But I feel like that was like an ultimate redemption arc where we got to see, and he renamed himself as Warrior because he was going motivational speaking and stuff, but getting to see him kind of turn around from all the things, because he did mess up a lot. But it's nice to not just focus on somebody messing up, but I'll be able to focus on like, okay, yes, they have these problems that were happening in their life, but look at what they've done that was positive and look at how they ended it on such a positive note. And turn things around.
Oh, definitely. But you never know. You never know the way this documentary is going to go. I mean, you do have another wrestler who I admire as a wrestler, but as a person, he's always a downer. Bret Hart was in there. So he never has anything nice to say about anyone unless talking about how great he is.
Yeah. So I'm hopeful. Part of me, I still love Bret Hart. He's got issues. But, because even Kevin Nash has got some issues that we wouldn't agree on, but I still enjoy him as a performer. This
is a fun one. I'm excited for this. I mean, my son knows how much, I grew up with wrestling. And mind you, I am WWE-less for the last 7 years.
Yeah.
I'm strictly an AEW fan, but it's, I want, we're going to watch this together because he knows it was a big influence. And so much so, we watch a lot of independent wrestling shows, and he's going to start training on how to become a professional wrestler for fun. So, it's going to be a fun time. And I want him to see this, to see there's a lot of struggles behind a persona.
Yeah, there is. That does remind me that the rabbit hole I kind of fell into, was it yesterday or the day before? I guess it was the day before I fell into the rabbit hole of watching videos from Danhausen. And he's even got a YouTube channel, love that Danhausen. And I know he picked it from the 1989 Batman. Love that Joker. This persona character he's made is so funny. It's like something out of the Munsters.
Yeah, I've been watching Danhausen now for years.
Oh my goodness.
It's funny you bring that up because I just had that conversation with somebody yesterday because they're like, oh, it's WrestleMania weekend in Danhausen. And I'm like, oh, I don't watch WrestleMania. And they're like, what? And I was like, oh, but here's all the pictures and the conversations I had with Danhausen before he signed to WWE. So I've been watching him since AEW, the independent circuit, and his persona is hilarious.
Yes.
It is great. I don't know if WWE is going to let him embrace the full persona because they do like to water stuff down, but I will be curious. I'll be curious how it plays out, or if they're just doing it for shock value, because, the last probably 7-8 years I've been following his career, even on the indie circuits and meeting him so many times. I hope they do him right.
Yeah, I think they are. I was watching a lot of clips that WWE or even USA Network or whatever, that has been putting out on YouTube. And his debut at Elimination Chamber, they had dancing girls dressed up like weird vampires. And they did this whole 60s style dance number to his new music that he's got, which is fantastic. It was so great. And then, of course, they've had a lot of clips of him going around you are cursed, when somebody doesn't cooperate with him. And they even had where he's been doing the storyline with The Miz and this other guy that I'm not familiar with, where, and I saw one of his old indie matches where he hopped up, a guy was getting on the top rope to jump on him, and he hopped up and cursed the guy, and the guy fell off the top rope. Now they've done stuff where he got up and he cursed the guy who was about to jump on him, and the pyro went off right behind the guy on the turnbuckle that he fell off. And he cursed The Miz, and ladders would fall on The Miz's head in the backstage. So they're letting him do the whole thing. I haven't seen him pour teeth on anybody about it, but he has given some teeth to one of the announcers when he came out. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of excited to see what they do with him. And I don't pay attention to the regular stuff so much anymore, but I do have friends that watch WrestleMania, and I want to go hang out with them probably. So I'm going to try to go watch some WrestleMania, and I hope Danhausen gets to do something fun, because I don't know if they've got him scheduled in a match or not. But
you'll have to keep me posted, because I drew a hard line. Like I said, I won't go back to WWE for a lot of reasons. So I draw a hard line. So keep me posted.
The product kind of went for a while. But yeah, we won't get into too much on them. I would watch probably AEW, but I don't have a station that carries any of it. And for a while, before COVID, I was watching when NWA, when Billy Corgan bought it and was putting it on YouTube. I was watching that for a while, and it is kind of neat that the guy who was champion, Nick Aldis, is actually now running SmackDown. He was Drake something. Oh, dang it. I forgot he had a 3-syllable thing. He's now LA Knight over at WWE. So he's kind of advanced. But I enjoy him as well, but I don't get to watch what they do and stuff. But yeah, so there's still a lot of stuff to kind of look into. But anyways, that was a terrible sentence. Let's move on to the next one.
I got good news, y'all. Gathered here are the world's best fighters.
And no, this is not Mortal Kombat.
But only one of which will be crowned the world champion of Street Fighting! You win! Perfect.
You're not a warrior anymore, you're a sideshow.
What's up, MTV? I'm Ken Masters.
This is your shot at redemption.
Were you gonna show?
The path I'm on now is not one of combat.
Maybe it's Ken's turn to be champion.
How did you find me?
I'm paid to find champions. Even if they're lost.
Good to see you, old friend. Still reckless. Sit down. This tournament is not what it seems. We have to be ready.
Everyone keeps going on about your thighs. I don't see what the big deal is. Please.
That was some abracadabra.
Oh, what's going on?
I'm positive that a fireball came out of Ryu. Do it, Ryu!
Now, I am going to have to edit. There's a little bit of language in the trailer, which if I've caught it all, then you will not have heard this here in the podcast. But the one thing is I wonder is like Ken, he kind of looks like a guy that's in the WWE wrestling game currently. So I'm wondering if that's him. I'm not familiar with some of the new guys.
No, but they do have Cody Rhodes in there playing Guile.
Yeah. And so he looks pretty good as Guile, I got to say. They did a pretty good. I like that they
good
put
overall.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a redemption story, honestly. It's going to be about redemption, friendship, pulling together.
Yeah.
Those underlying themes, where, Ken has fallen off the deep end and Ryu clearly feels guilty about something. And so it's going to be that kind of film. I think it's going to be good.
Yep.
You can't dismiss the Van Damme one, right? You can't dismiss that classic, with Raul Julia, in his final movie role. You can't knock that. It looks fun. I like that they embraced the full comic booky style of this.
Yes.
One. It has definitely that anime brought to life feel.
Yes. We get to see a Hadouken fireball.
Right. Especially because I say those phrases all the time when I'm teaching classes for fun at kids. I'll be like, Hadouken! All the time. And they look at me like, what? And then they go, or some of them go, Street Fighter? And I'm like, buddy, Street Fighter came out when I was in high school.
Yeah. We were playing Street Fighter 2 before you were even thought about.
Right. So it's kind of fun.
Oh, yes. So
it's a martial arts movie. So, I'm always stoked.
Of course. Yeah. So you're down. You're ready to go. You're going to be studying like, oh, hey, I've never done that move. Now I need to learn it. So.
That is the downside of martial arts sometimes is, because my one son out of my gaggle of children, he trains with me too and teaches at the school. Right. So,
neat.
my 16-year-old, he helps out with the little kids and the special needs kids and things like that. And it's just so funny because him and I watch martial art movies and I'm like, just so you know, now that you know these things, you're just going to critique every movie you watch.
Like, that's real. That's fake.
It looks cool. Yeah, not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Oh, yeah. Oh, but somebody who was definitely legit, and now we get to turn the corner. See how good I segue. Someone who was legit in the movies, Mr. Chuck Norris, has passed away. Definitely a legend of a person, legend as far as the movies, legend in tournaments. He's been an inspiration to a lot of people through a lot of times. And I even still get little things on Facebook for little ads of his nutritional supplements and for exercise things, it still comes along. He's always going to have a presence, I think, in the world with all the legacy he's left behind. And of course, we now want to take a moment to pay some tribute to Chuck Norris. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, because like I said, I got to yellow belt when I was in college, and that's as far as I went. And so I don't really have, I think it's inspired your life more than it has mine, right?
Oh yeah. I've been practicing 32 years now as of this year.
My goodness.
So I have been practicing since I was, I'm not going to say my age, but I'll say I wasn't a little kid.
Yeah.
So your listeners will know that I'm slightly older than you. Yeah. So I'll just leave it at that.
But not by much. So, and we are very young at heart, though.
Yes.
And that makes a difference.
Yes. You're talking to a guy that has a skateboard in the back of his car still and just bust it out at any point.
I would do that, but I would break myself. Well, you're also talking to the guy when you talk about having Hulk Hogan. I do have the figures that I got actually for Christmas where they did that, even the fabric for the shirt. But I have a Hulk Hogan and Mr. T from WrestleMania 1, like the good quality figures. So
and they just announced Mr. T is coming to one of the Comic-Cons I'm going to. So, it's going to be awesome.
Oh, if he ever come to Kansas City, I love Mr. T. Oh, my goodness.
I pity the fool that eats my cereal.
Yeah, that's right.
See how many people get that reference.
Oh, yeah.
Either look up the movie after this show, listen to a previous show of mine with a Teen Wolf Pee Wee Herman guest. I'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah, we'll leave it there. Oh, my goodness. But a few basic facts that I dug up. So he was born March 10th, 1940. And he's one of the basic, the defining action stars of the 70s through the 90s. Although not all of his movies really were like huge, like you knew it happened. At least when I grew up, we had never really hear about his stuff. There's some really good photos that I managed to get pulled up. But he was actually founded his own style, Chun Kuk Do. I don't know if I'm saying this right at all. But he was a multi-time world karate champion, and he actually was friends with Bruce Lee. And I actually was watching some YouTube video where he was talking about, he told Bruce, like, all right, we're going to fight for real if you really rip any of that hair off my chest. So like, this is kind of a cool idea for the movie. It's like, but you be careful. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, it's Way of the Dragon. And it's an epic fight. It was so good. So entertaining. Here's some photos of it. Those of you listening are not getting to see the actual photos, but yeah, Chuck Norris was a very furry guy, and so they had to put a little bit of fake fur for Bruce to work with and everything because you didn't. I'm sure that would hurt really bad if Bruce Lee ripped a bunch of hairs out of your chest.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, fantastic. I mean, and he was in so many different things. I mean, I grew up watching him, Missing in Action, Delta Force, all of those kinds of movies. And of course, in the 90s, you had Sidekicks with Jonathan Brandis, which was huge. Movie. Everybody loves that.
Yeah.
It's such a fun movie. And then Walker, Texas Ranger, so he's been a part of so many different things that, it is iconic no matter what generation it is. Even so, even the kids today who have never seen any of his movies, any of his television series, everybody knew a Chuck Norris meme. It didn't make a difference.
Fun fact about Sidekicks real quick, because I only just learned this, and I do not know the actress's name, but in Sidekicks, okay, so you have the teacher that's in there, and I think it's like her grandfather was played by Mako or Mako. Yeah. I think he's Mako. I want to say Mako because of the Final Fantasy stuff. But I didn't realize that she played Ko back in First Blood Part 2, Rambo. I didn't recognize her for the longest time. Then it was mentioned on I was watching some video about Sidekicks and even watched the clip because I love Joe Piscopo in that movie too. He's really funny. I love Joe Piscopo. And there was a thing about Sidekicks and they mentioned that and then they showed the footage from Rambo. I was like, oh my gosh, that is her. And she's still just as pretty in both movies. She was a beautiful woman. She's probably still alive. But oh my goodness. But kind of fun fact on Sidekicks. For all these years, I did not recognize her.
Yeah. It was also directed by his brother, Chuck Norris's brother.
Yeah, he did a lot of stuff with his brother, I think.
He did it as a favor for his brother, so there's always something there.
Yeah.
But there's just so many different things with him that, are authentic for him and made it, definitely fun for him over the years. I mean, this past weekend, I was actually at a martial arts tournament and Bill Superfoot Wallace was there. And, some of you are like, who's this guy? He is major martial artist, 80s, 90s, 2000s, same with Don the Dragon Wilson, Chuck Norris up there with them. And he was there as one of the guest judges. And I was talking to him for a while because I see him at a lot of different things. And we did a retrospect for Chuck and he told some really fun stories that, are ones that you don't ever hear, from behind the scenes of just his friendship with Chuck.
Oh, nice. So, yeah, everybody always had good things to say about him. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Chuck Norris, except for when he, endorsed Trump. Then, of course, there's people going to come out of the woodwork and be like, "Whoa, now we hate you."
But Norris was always about being a good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, so much so when you think about it, like there was Expendables Part 2, right? So he made this cameo, and everybody knows the Expendable movies. The thing is he originally wasn't going to be in the movie at all. At all. But what happened is he told them that if you tone it down to PG-13, then I will be in it.
Yeah.
So he said, I will only do it if you make it PG-13, so any of my younger fans can watch it.
Yeah, and he even got to have the line. It's like, yeah, I got bit by a snake. 3 days later, the snake died.
So it's good stuff like that, though, that that you hear even behind the scenes. He's like, I don't want to tarnish this for my fans.
Right. And I think I know what would probably help stem a lot of how tough he was, because there's a really great clip. I think the movie is called Firewalker. It's him and I believe Louis Gossett Jr. And if you look
fantastic movie.
There's a bar fight in there that I swear it's like no matter who he kicks, they're going through the window or through a table, and he just knocks the daylights out of these guys with like these super awesome like roundhouse kicks. And I was like, this is so cheesy. It's the best thing I think I've watched on YouTube in a long time. Like this has got to be the birth of where you have those memes where, and I got a couple of samples. Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the earth down because there is no theory of evolution. Only a list of creatures Chuck Norris allows to live.
Yeah, there's so many good ones. I mean, so many good ones. I mean, it's just, and then you got to talk about just his cameos alone, being in like Dodgeball, doing the thumbs up, he was on the Goldbergs, doing a voice cameo of himself in an 80s, commercial.
Oh my goodness.
He was in the most recent incarnation of Hawaii 5-0 back in like 2020 or 2021. So, even there, he is still just so relevant. I mean, even to the point where you mentioned, he was good friends with Bruce Lee as well. To the point where he said in interviews that he actually credited Bruce Lee with changing his style of martial arts to be more fluid and adapting to any situation in terms of martial arts.
Oh, yeah. And one of the great things, and part of why they made the movie Sidekicks, which I didn't know this either, was in Texas, of course, he's got, and you've probably already heard about all his youth programs that he would do and everything in Texas and, trying to help kids and teach martial arts and all the good values and disciplines and principles that come with that. And he used Sidekicks as kind of a way to point people towards the fact that he does this and gives them positive. I mean, Sidekicks is all about like a positivity by the end of like all the good things you can learn in like martial arts and all the discipline and being a good person and having good character. Right. And that's what he tried to teach kids.
Attitude. Yeah, definitely. Yes.
And so I didn't realize how he's written some books about faith, fitness, and personal discipline. And of course, often emphasizing the integrity, hard work, and family values because he was a Christian man. So he's probably the toughest Christian you've ever met, or didn't meet. I wish I could have met him.
I don't know. I'm going to say I'm pretty tough.
I bet you probably are. I will grant you. But yeah, you ain't Chuck.
I don't think I could beat. I don't think I could beat Norris. I just had to put it out there, though.
Yeah, you had to put it out there, but
But yeah, I mean, it is good though. I mean, he, iconic man himself. Like I said, I could go on forever for that, but I just, I will say he was iconic, legendary, and I don't think we have any modern day martial artists right there. I mean, I guess Jackie Chan.
Yeah, gotta love Jackie.
But that's kind of all we got left. Yeah, kind of all we got left for the modern cinema.
Yeah. Well, Jason Statham is still out there making movies, though. I haven't watched him in a while, but. He's still out there.
He has some good ones. His last two movies were very good. I will say that they were very good. And he has a new one coming out where he's rescuing some trafficking of people. Ooh. Of course, typical Jason Statham.
Yeah,
I think the only time he diverted, I think, was In the Name of the King, which was medieval, which had a fantastic cast, horrible director, and then The Meg. Battling a shark. Otherwise, all of his other movies are. It's a Jason Statham movie.
It's a Jason Statham movie, yes. Because I think the first thing I saw him in was The Transporter, and he just had this kind of cool style to him and everything. And I love the bit where he goes running and jump kicks through the door and knocks all the guys away. It's so cheesy, but it's so awesome.
Oh yeah. But he is a legitimate martial artist, so you got to give him credit. That's the thing. He is legit. So I mean, he's up there in age, but he's legit.
Yeah, he's awesome, and he's got a cool accent and cool voice and everything. So he's like, come on, Jason Statham just kind of cool. So, all right, well, we'll turn it yet another corner. We're going back in time now. 1939, The Wizard of Oz. Premiered August 15th. Was wide released on August 25th. Produced by Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer during Hollywood's golden year. Also, that's the year that gave us Gone with the Wind. I still have yet to ever see Gone with the Wind, though. I hear it's like 4 hours.
It's a great
it.
movie. You know, I'm just saying.
That might be
a great movie.
Might be one if I ever see we could cover on here.
Watching it in 4K looks fantastic. The color, the saturation, you know.
Yeah, plus I like old movies anyway. Old movies are just, I mean, I was talking earlier about, seeing Ben-Hur on a big screen was amazing for me. So, I mean, goodness, I like some old movies have got so much more that some of the modern movies don't have, I will say. But this featured, of course, Judy Garland, Ray Bolger, Jack Haley, Bert Lahr as the Cowardly Lion. I love him. And then Margaret Hamilton as the Wicked Witch. It was made for $2.8 million and initially made $3 million in the box office. But of course, because of the high cost, it wasn't like a huge hit. But as generations have gone by, and that's kind of the point, is like when you get to our generation, it would be on TV every year. I think around like Thanksgiving, I remember watching this every year. And that one, and Dumbo, I think Dumbo was also around about that same time. There was always something special.
I think the first time it aired, I think was 1950 something, 55, 56. I think is the first time it aired on TV, something like that.
Yep, you got it right. 1956.
How's that? I'm not even looking at notes.
Yeah, until I rolled it forward to where it's like, yes. I love the way it's described. It was a family event. It was like appointment viewing because everybody wanted to sit and watch this movie, and it has had that lasting legacy. And imagine to think that when they were making it, they didn't think Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Somebody wanted to cut it completely out of the film. Didn't think it was a good song, but that song is so iconic. And it's,
it was beyond iconic. And, I come from a place though where Wizard of Oz is huge because, it premiered in a lot of small towns, right? And they were huge. Kenosha, Wisconsin, Oconomowoc, Wisconsin are big for Wizard of Oz. I mean, that was the big thing. They were so nervous that it was going to fail when it first came out that they had tiny, quiet premieres with the entire cast in these small Wisconsin towns. So much so we have like statues of like Dorothy and Wizard of Oz and big Wizard of Oz events here in Wisconsin.
Oh, neat. Yeah, I know they're trying to do something in Kansas, which is my neighboring state down here in Missouri. There was talk for one time that they were going to try to make a theme park based on the Wizard of Oz. And I don't know if that ever came to fruition, but there are like little things.
There's that ghostly one. Have you ever seen that ghostly Wizard of Oz theme park that's abandoned?
I think I might have.
Once. Yeah, that's a fun abandoned walk through theme park of a Wizard of Oz. That's a unique one.
I think I've seen some. I'm going to go look at it again.
But if you are ever in the Wisconsin area, though, check out some of these small towns because that's where it originally premiered. If you Google search it, you'll see it was held in these really tiny, obscure towns to get initial audience reactions. Yeah, because they were so worried it was going to be a huge, huge flop for Judy Garland.
Yeah, well, certainly it was not a flop. I mean, it didn't do as well as it could have when it was released. But I mean, throughout the generations, I mean, to me, that's when I think of Judy Garland, I think of her at that age and not so much because I don't think I've really seen a lot of stuff as she was older. My wife likes to watch Meet Me in St. Louis every Christmas, and she's in that one. And I have heard her singing.
That's always a good one.
Ding Ding Went the Trolley or something. Which is a fun little tune that she does.
I was saying the movie where Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas was first aired.
Yeah.
It was written for that movie, right? Mm-hmm. So there's all of those as well. You know, so most people don't even realize half those lyrics were changed so much because Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas originally was talking about maybe not coming home from the war and things like that, and they cut out a lot of that melancholy aspect of it.
Wow. I'm kind of curious now about the original version.
I'm going on a tangent now.
Oh, yeah.
All right, never mind.
But this actually did win 2 Academy Awards for Best Original Song, of course, Over the Rainbow, and Best Original Score. But it's hard to pick my absolute favorite song in this whole thing. Because, I mean, the performances between, let's see, Ray Bolger, I believe, was the Scarecrow, who originally was going to be, Jed Clampett, but the makeup he was the Tin Man. But the makeup he was allergic to it. Golly, I got to go back up here and look up but like the Tin Man, his dance, the performance.
Yeah, Buddy Epson.
Epson, yes. Jack Haley was the Tin Man. And Ray Bolger,
Yes.
just the way he moved as the Scarecrow, able to just be so flexible, and the way he moved and did his dance, it's just, oh my gosh.
It's an
just
iconic song. It is.
Yeah.
It is up there, but it's also up there with Horse of a Different Color. I really like that song too. I mean, because one, of course, they're showing off their Technicolor capabilities.
Yeah,
right?
and the horse literally does change color every shot,
and it's fun. It is fun, and and if you look back in like the history of it too, it's so funny how they did this, because you see so many people with misinformation. Oh, they spray painted these horses. It's like all they did was use Jello powder on them. That was it.
Yeah. They didn't want to hurt their horse.
Right. They just opened up a pack of Jello and rubbed it on their fur.
But of course, it gave us some iconic things like Ruby Slippers, The Yellow Brick Road, There's No Place Like Home, and I'll Get You, My Pretty, and Your Little Dog, too. And it's actually listed as one of the greatest films ever made, plus the most quoted films in history.
Oh, yeah. Always quoted. It is right up there with Casablanca. I will always say those are the two most quoted films ever. I mean, Wizard of Oz, so many one-liners, but then you also have Casablanca, where I feel it is, same thing, almost the whole script. And then the Ruby Slippers, like you said, I mean, in the books, they're silver.
Right.
But of course, they wanted to show off that Technicolor capability. But, one of my two favorite fun facts about Wizard of Oz, before you move on to whatever you're going to talk about it, right, is that I really love, is Toto earned more money than a lot of the actual Munchkins, earning $125 a week compared to their $50 a week.
Oh my goodness.
And also Professor Marvel in the beginning, right? The wizard, the trench coat he wears, they bought at a thrift store, and sewn inside of it, actually, they found out that it actually belonged to L. Frank Baum.
Oh, wow.
It was just a coincidence.
Just coincidence.
Right, fun little
bits.
facts that for some reason why I don't know these. I don't know why I know these things sometimes.
Well, that's useful information. There was a whole lot of factoid things like that I kind of skipped past because we're running long. But I did want to get into something. This is I had not heard before until about the time my mother passed away. We went over to Colorado, and my cousin's husband was, and because I had just listened to the audiobook of this one and Return to Oz, I think recently, and we kind of started talking about this, but he mentioned there was some sort of political allegory going on with this. But this is a claim that people made, but there is actually no evidence that Frank L. Baum had any intention of this. But this was made popular by a historian named Henry Littlefield back in the 1960s, and he says it reflects the populist movement of the 1890s. Being that Dorothy would be the everyday American citizen, but that's kind of typical of your, front character. You need to have them be kind of an everyman or every woman. Scarecrow, of course, is supposed to be like the farmers, that they're supposed to be uneducated, but actually are pretty smart. Because everybody's not. I've tried to sell cars to farmers and everything, and they know exactly what they need, and farmers are amazing. Then the Tin Woodman was a representative of the industrial workers that are being dehumanized by labor. The Cowardly Lion, William Jennings Bryan, who is a populist leader accused of lacking courage. The Yellow Brick Road is the gold standard. The Silver Shoes were the free silver movement. The Emerald City represented Washington, D.C., where everything looks green and wealthy, but it's all an illusion. And the Wizard was supposed to be like politicians who were powerful looking, but ultimately just men behind the curtain. And this actually stuck around. It got pretty popular, but it's actually... There's no evidence for it, but it is kind of, if you wanted to look at it that way, I suppose you really could, but it's not actually.
I think you could do that for anything though. I could be like, I'm walking out my front door today. That represents that I'm walking out on the man, and I'm walking down the street in the sun, and that represents God is shining down on me. Like I don't think he was thinking that hard. I think he was just writing a book, but maybe he was, but I think you could pull together that kind of thing from almost anything.
Yeah. And I don't find the notes. I had some notes up. And now I can't find them. I'm going to pause just a second.
We don't need no stinking notes.
Well, I had a list of differences between the book and the movie, and I had it pulled out, and it's not on where I've collected my notes here, and I don't know what actually happened to my notes. Wow. But yeah, there are definitely some differences now. And you and I were talking about here we go. Here's some of the stuff. Yeah. Okay. So right about here, I think is where I start. Some of the core concepts between the movies and the book is that Dorothy, of course, is swept away from Kansas to Oz. But now the interesting thing, and you were talking about this when we were chatting beforehand, that like in the film, you make it seem like it was this dream and this magical place. Did she really go, or was it all a dream? It kind of leaves a little wavy. But in the book, she literally got picked up and dropped somewhere else into, this is 1800s. There was a lot of not necessarily unexplored, but maybe not familiar territory that thought might be on American soil. And so it was this place somewhere that just, we hadn't really wandered into. Daniel Boone didn't go marching through Oz that we know of, right? So it was treated like that, which is also reminds me of Peter Pan. When you read it, you realize the second star to the right is a nautical direction. And they're not leaving Earth or flying into a star. They're going to this magical island that you have to follow that nautical direction. Because in the book, it talks about for days, I think it is, that they're flying over the oceans, heading over towards this weird magical island. And occasionally Peter would forget that they were with him. And he would wonder who these people are. And, Peter Pan is a very interesting book, and he's a very weird character. But that's a whole different thing. But it's nautical direction.
Finding Neverland with Johnny Depp, too. Watch Finding Neverland with Johnny Depp.
That's been a while.
They wrote that movie.
I know I saw that.
Right, continue. I didn't want to cut you off, but yeah.
But it was meant to be this land that existed somewhere in America, and she still follows the yellow brick road to meet the wizard, and making friends, of course, with the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman, Cowardly Lion, and of course the wizard turning out to be a fraud. That's where the similarities kind of end. The book is it's kind of fantastical, and as a children's adventure, it's light, whimsical, episodic. There's less emotional depth, and more it's like a journey from place to place. And the book series, from what somebody once explained to me, it's like, imagine Harry Potter, where you had a series of books, and these would come out as a yearly thing. And this was the hot Christmas item that kids wanted these books, as he would write a new one every year, which is amazing to think of. Like, we're just used to them already existing, but they think like that there would be this excitement around this book that kids were like, I want that, there's another Oz book coming. And so it's kind of wild to think of that.
And there were so many of those too, so much so that they were still writing them, not him, but other people took over and were writing them in like 1939, 1940, still writing new Oz stories.
I do have a collection I found at, I think, a Barnes & Noble, and I'm trying to look over at my bookshelf where I've put these, but they're like big, thick volumes where they have like 3 books per book, and I have like 4 or 5 of those, and I need to just sit down and read them, but I don't read as much as I should. But I have, there they are. They're behind my giant Raphael figure. Like
they're definitely fun. I can't say that I've read them all, but I did read about 10 or 11 of them. So I did get pretty far. I'm an avid reader because I like to compare my readings to the movies of stuff. So
hence you're recommending I read the book of Project Hail Mary to me, of course.
But I'm not a purist. I'm not the kind of person that says, oh, it wasn't in the book. Because I look at it as a movie as entertainment, So when I watch Lord of the Rings, I'm like, those are smart choices, So
they did a really great job with it. And Mary Poppins, there's a lot of really good choices that were made. Even though I did read the first of the Mary Poppins books or listen to the audiobook, and I did think it was pretty cool. But I like what Disney did with the character a little bit better.
Right.
Sort of like Jurassic Park. You can read the book just because it's interesting, but the movie's definitely better.
read the book just because it opens up with dinosaurs.
Oh yeah,
and then you got sharks, and not just a Jurassic Park dinosaur. I mean, it opens up with the shark, the big fight between a dinosaur and a shark.
Yeah.
So a spoiler alert, I guess.
Yeah. And there's times that it starts to read like a science textbook, because Michael Crichton was trying to do his research of like, if this was really to have happened, here's how this would kind of have worked, and so he did.
They would have feathers now.
I won't even get into that. Oh, but Dorothy is practical and calm and matter of fact in the book, not especially emotional. She just wants to get home, and she's not having a big internal struggle. But in the film, of course, very expressive and vulnerable, and famously motivated by there's no place like home. After she's done dreaming of thinking that somewhere is better, like there's some magical place somewhere just over the rainbow, must be better than that. But then you realize, no, home is a wonderful place. And the Kansas life is a bit more developed because you've developed like the Miss Gulch character, where we get to meet the actress who's going to be the witch later. And apparently, though, they say a lot of people think the film makes Dorothy a bit more relatable. And I can kind of understand that, because she's a bit more an in-depth character. And it's the I Want song, because that's over the rainbow. That's her I Want. And that's kind of how Disney would hook us on Aladdin Princesses, is they have an I Want song that suddenly now we're behind them in their goals. We want to see them try to get to this goal. But this is fun. So the reason why they went from silver shoes to ruby slippers is because Technicolor.
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. The horse of a different color.
Oh yeah.
They wanted to push the color aspect because it was new at the time. Technicolor was crazy new technology. It's not that they couldn't made the whole movie in color, but that was the whole idea, to make it really pop.
And even being creative and doing the sepia tones until we bust into color, and the tricks that they employed to kind of make that transition. It's when you go and look into that, that's pretty wild.
And the practical effects of that tornado, fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness, I love practical effects. They're so creative, so clever.
Oh yeah.
But then the Wicked Witch in the book, she's the only one that appears, and she's not really that memorable. She's not really recurring, so she does not seem like she's stalking Dorothy along the way, and she actually defeats pretty quickly. And that does remind me, I had not a book on tape, but like the old storybooks when you'd listen to it as a kid. I had a version of Wizard of Oz, and it always was weirded me out because it was more based off the original book than it was the movie, and it was very different. And there's no real thing about the Wicked Witch of the West really until the wizard sends them to go deal with it. It's like not really a big thing. That kind of, it's mind blowing, is because we're so used to the movie, her being a villain, and I kind of like in the movie that she is kind of just always there, and she's always this threat.
Oh yeah, I mean, it adds that sense of dread. I mean, sometimes you just need to have a villain.
Yep.
Just for the sake of having a villain. I mean, you don't always need a backstory. Like I myself, I enjoy the Wicked movies, right? I do. I enjoy them. However, it does not take away or tarnish my love of the original Wizard of Oz and how the witch is a witch. I can separate them all, which is fun. I mean, Oz the Great and Powerful did the same thing. They try to justify why she's a wicked witch. But the beauty of the original is just, she's a villain. You don't know why she's a villain, but you feel threatened by her.
Yeah.
I mean, so much so, the Sesame Street episode where she was a guest only aired like once, and then they yanked it.
I guess people were afraid of her. And she even popped up on Mr. Rogers.
They received tons of fan mail saying that it was so scary and kids were terrified of her on Sesame Street. And I'm like, really? But yeah.
Well, she was so good at it, and she had that her face was pretty much already there. She already had the look for it. So throw some green makeup on her and let her. And sometimes that's I kind of like that in a villain. Sometimes I just want a villain to as we were discussing the Dark Knight. Some people just want to watch the world burn. That's always an entertaining villain. It's one of my favorite Spider-Man villains was Carnage, because he was just a lunatic, and all he really wanted to do was kill people. It was fun for him. He was just trying to create as much chaos as possible and kill. And that's, to me, that's kind of entertaining. Sometimes I just need a villain that's just a villain just because they're just evil. I don't always have to have a big backstory for them. Sometimes a good backstory makes a very compelling character, but sometimes I just like a boo-hiss villain to just come out and be scary and be monstrous and do horrible things. And then the feel of things gets to be watching the hero overcome that and the struggle, which is part of what I'm big on, like Resident Evil games, is like me getting to overcome that evil, because they don't really get a justification for why these people are evil things. And plus, most of the things you deal with are just a monster, and it's sad that maybe that used to be a human, but now it's nothing. There's a monster. Somebody's done horrible things, or it's become the undead, and you just have to deal with it. But yeah, I love a good, just bad villain. So.
Oh, right. And, and she has a history of, being around all that stuff, because, she was in that Vincent Price classic, 13 Ghosts. No, not the Matthew Lillard one, but, the nice Vincent Price classic. She was in that movie. So she's used to dark, evil things.
Yeah. I have not seen that movie. I think I need to put that on my list. I should have to watch that one too.
Yeah, well, back in the day, she was also in Addams Family. She played, I'm trying to remember her name, Hester.
Oh, yeah,
she was Hester or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
The crazy neighbor that hated everybody.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Core memory unlocked. Wow.
But I'm good at that.
Yeah. Goodness sakes. But overall, the sidekick characters, it mentions there's some differences when I was digging up some notes, but I don't really find them to be entirely different. But of course, in the film, you can kind of emphasize some of their flaws. But really, especially even in the tape that I was talking with the read along book, you could tell that the Scarecrow's actually was pretty clever. The Tin Woodman was already kind, and the Lion was actually fairly courageous. They just didn't believe in themselves, or didn't believe that they were. And there's even a big backstory to the Tin Woodsman where he has his heart broken. And that's why he doesn't feel like he has a heart anymore. He's heartbroken and he just rusted out there. But so there's a lot of extra stuff. But the wizard, though, is where I find some definite differences, because the book he's a humbug. He's a bit more neutral. He's less theatrical, and he gives practical solutions. So I mean, he's still kind of useful. And in the film, I feel like he's still kind of useful, but it's this overly dramatic reveal, and he's got that big giant head thing, and who enters my presence? You know, the big over the top thing, which is very entertaining. But I don't recall in the book him being that way. But I mean, he definitely comes out, and he definitely doesn't have any like real power, but he is very clever. And sometimes that is kind of what a wizard, you know, when you look at the actual history, some of the people that were thought to be witches were actually the women who were actually pretty clever with herbs. And they knew like different herbs and everything were actually could be, you know, very medicinal. And a lot of times you'd have somebody who was good at medicine. And like in some of the stuff they did, probably our modern medicine is because of people who knew how to work with different plants and had good effects and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, lots of different things. But I agree. In the book, he was more of he was just very educated, which made him seem very wizardly like to people. Yeah. That's really what it came down to.
Yeah, he didn't seem so much of being like, you're this complete fraud as he does in the movie. And
that's what makes a good movie, though.
Yeah,
that's what makes a good movie.
But he doesn't seem like he's that bad of a fraud. Compared to, I mean,
he's doing it for the theatrics, because he also, I feel, doesn't believe in his own self.
Yeah. And I think maybe the Disney one, the Great Wizard of Oz, or maybe it was something addressed in the book, or I don't know, maybe it's just my own thoughts, but having this persona of him being this great and powerful wizard is probably what's keeping some of the evil witches at bay to not mess with the people inside Oz. It seems safer. Oh no, the great and mighty Oz, I can't compete with his power, so the witches stay away. But of course he knows he's got to deal with the witches another way, so he's clever enough to sound like, I think Dorothy can handle this. And he sends Dorothy, it's like, all right, I believe in you, Dorothy. You're going to go and you're going to kill this witch. So, but I think the persona that he's built up kind of just helps keep Oz safe and helps it flourish, because they all think, oh, this great and powerful wizard is here and he'll keep the witches away from us. And I don't know if that was actually brought up in a book at all, or maybe the Disney movie kind of brought that in, because I think they kind of talk about that he has to create this persona of being a wizard in that one. And maybe that's where I got this from.
It brings it all back full circle back to Hulk Hogan too. It's all about having that persona in order to bring out the best or what needs to be done.
Yeah. And the overall, like the ending is just a little different, because there is no all a dream and Shakespeare returns in the shoes. In the movie, we kind of did get the balloon, which the funny thing about the balloon is, that kind of helps to bring it back around to the fact that, oh, you could travel there. Although I guess the balloon doesn't work. And I think if the balloon might be in the book too, but I don't remember. But like the idea that you could fly from Oz to Kansas in a hot air balloon kind of gives you that implication that, oh no, this is just a different land somewhere on our land. But of course, you had to click 3 times because you missed the boat or the balloon rather. But the film going that it was a dream, but I find it just vague enough. It's like maybe she did dream the whole thing, or maybe the magic put her right back in there.
Right. It's that story of you never know which one. And I think it's that takeaway that you can take away from it, whatever you want. It has that interpretation where I think everyone is going to interpret it different. And I think whether she was really there or not there, in the end, the underlying factor is, one, maybe everything you need is right there.
Yeah.
But also you're capable of a lot more than you realize.
Yep. And that gives her a nice growth arc, some character growth as she kind of goes from being a little girl, and then she kind of realizes a few things along in her journey. It's like, well, maybe that's what life is like. She kind of says stuff like that. She kind of learns, and she kind of comes of age a little bit and learns to mature just a little bit, because boy, the first part of the movie, she is kind of bratty and a bit annoying, and you kind of understand like, oh yeah, I understand you love your dog, but the way she talks to her aunt and uncle is like, they could be more helpful if you would be like less of a brat. And it's even like Labyrinth. Labyrinth, I think, is very good at the character growth and arc at the beginning, because Sarah is kind of got that same thing where she's kind of bratty. She's kind of just hitting, that crossover into the almost an adult level of age, and then has to go on this adventure. And whether it all was real or not,
that is one of my favorite scenes in most movies too, because the whole "should you ever need us" from Labyrinth. Yeah. And I love the fact that it's not should she ever need those characters. It's you never lose that essence of childhood and who you were and that escape. And that's what they mean by should you ever need us, we're always here. Meaning don't ever forget that moment in your life that made this happen, that that growth, that youthfulness, that, so that's really what it was about. Not so much remembering those characters.
Yeah. Because sometimes for no reason at all, we need those.
Yes.
Which is part of the reason I do this
I'm
show.
Always a kid, right?
Yeah.
We're just kids. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. We're just a bunch of kids that one of us 50 and one of us is getting there, and I have toys all over the place. I mean, for crying out loud. So yeah. And that's part of why we do a show like this. So we can remember stuff that was fun, because this stuff that was a movie that meant a lot to us as kids, still love us as an adult. It was formulaic. I think this is what kind of helps you bring into that world of just fantasy and some make-believe, to where you watch Mr. Rogers and he'd go to the land of make-believe where everybody was a puppet and, that kind of thing. It's one of those things that kind of instills that little bit to you. And every once in a while, and it helps grow your imagination too. And that always, being creative comes from basically being able to be imaginative. And that helps you even as an adult to be able to think outside the box sometimes when you need to solve a problem. It's all like foundational and kind of moves you through life.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, but I do want to remind everybody your website still is like Diz Radio, but you've had to kind of like rename some things.
It's always dizradio.com. Yep, it's just dizradio.com. You can also go to 50 other URLs that'll just point you right back. Or you can find us on IMDb and all over the place.
Yep, because Jonathan does a celebrity guest show. He manages to get a guest every week. I don't know how I'd pull that off, because trying to coordinate time, I can't even hardly find co-hosts when I want to have somebody join me on the show. So trying to coordinate the celebrities, I don't know how you do it, but all right, cool. So, but we do want, of course, other than telling you, go and check that out. Make sure you go to neverlandpodcast.com. That is home of the Neverland network of podcasts. You're going to find links for Podgagement, which is Daniel J. Lewis's fantastic company. If you have a podcast, he's got all the tools you need to be able to find your reviews and all this other stuff. Fantastic stuff. Definitely go and check it out. And of course, we do want to thank Karen Kennedy, Ricky Pope of Christian Nerds Unite, and Darren Wilhite of the Wilhite and Wall Show, who helped me out with the introduction of the show. Don't forget, you can email us, podcast@neverlandpodcast.com. In fact, I gave you a challenge earlier, and I don't remember what it was, but go back and re-listen to this show. Re-download it again one more time, because there was something I was going to have you all tell me. Oh, that's right. If you knew the music, if you recognize that music, I've been using it for years from a game from the 80s. Of course, we are on X or Twitter as the Neverland PCast, and so you can interact right there. On Facebook, you got some options. We have a like page, which I don't do a whole lot with. You get new episodes, and that's under the Fandom Nexus. But the Facebook group is still under Neverland Podcast, and so I do share stuff from some of the other things within the network. Of course, there's the Fandom Gamer on YouTube. So when I put up some game videos, you can go and check that out. I usually don't talk during a game. Lots of fun ways to kind of either get in touch or just have some more fun with me. And of course, lots of ways to have fun with Jonathan too. Make sure you go to dizradio.com. And sometimes when you go to old episodes, I'm in there with a segment. He hasn't brought us all completely back yet. And I don't know when I'd ever have time to record a segment for him, but he does have a D team.
The goal is to get there. The goal is to get you back on. But yeah. I know it's been a busy end of 2025 to 26 for us. That's why it's been a bit connecting.
It's been a crazy year, and the start to the year and end of the year, even for me. Yeah, so I completely get that. Oh yes, I think there's even a few segments I've probably sent in that you haven't ever gotten a chance to use. That, yeah, they will be back, but it's still a good show. It's still fun, and there's sometimes I look like I don't know if I know who that is, and so I'll go ahead and listen and find out. Oh, this person was in this other movie that So yeah. That happens. He gets credit to some people that you maybe have heard of, but maybe you're familiar with the work and you didn't realize it. That has happened to me a few times listening to his show, that I like somebody I didn't know, then I realized I do know who that person is. So it's always a lot of fun. He's not getting the huge names, but he's getting people that are like the guy, man, from Teen Wolf. You were just talking about it and I forgot his name already. But like him. He wasn't huge, but you know him because you saw him in so much stuff. He's looking up the name. I can hear tapping. But he was
Big Adventure, all of those different things he was in.
Teen Wolf. On Teen Wolf 2 even.
I'm trying to remember. You think I would remember my own guest names, but I've had over 300 people on the show.
Yeah. So you've had the mom from Karate Kid even. I mean, come on.
We've had a lot of people on this show. Mark Holton, that's his name.
Yes. And he was so much fun. He really was. He was so much fun on the show. Y'all go check this stuff out. Seriously. Because like the people who maybe get, they've got more credit in your heart than maybe they do from Hollywood, because you know them and you love them, even if they weren't like a huge celebrity, but they did something important. Like I even was just saying, the mom from Karate Kid, she wasn't like the big name in that movie, but you're going to remember her Just great stuff.
And
Great stuff.
We've had so many people from Karate Kid on the show.
Oh, of course
We've had John Kreese on our show.
Yes.
We've had Daniel's mom.
Mm-hmm.
Just recently, we had Ron Thomas, who was one of the Cobra Kai guys. So we've had a lot of people from Karate Kid on at some point. Of course.
So don't forget, you can also join the Neverlanders when you visit the website. All you need is a good nickname and make it mean something, because we have Lost Boys and we have Pixies. Why do we have Pixies? Because girls are too clever. They don't get lost. So there you go. Become a Lost Boy or Pixie today. Also, if you would like to become an exclusive member on Red Circle, links will be right there on the website. I need to do some fixing on the website. I have a few links that are broken that I found over yesterday when I was trying to help some of the students build a website for the schools. But you can also join through Patreon. This will get you ways to where you can have ad-free versions of the episodes. You get early versions of the episodes. This one's probably not going to be that early because I didn't get it recorded until Friday, so you all get it at the same time. But when I can put something together early or put something special, Patreon people are going to get it. And you can even do it for about $5 a month. No problem, right? You can handle $5 a month, but it helps me out. And of course, we always have to say that no copyright infringement is intended, and copyright is held by the respective owners. Content is shared for review and commentary purposes under fair use license. As you note, when we play a trailer, we're commenting on that trailer of whether it got us excited about the movie. That's kind of how that works. That keeps me from getting in trouble because, granted, I'm basically playing ads for the movie, but I still have gotten like little swipes taken at me like, oh, because that song appeared. So I'm still careful about that. But overall, the reason why we do it is because I want to comment on that trailer. So, all right, anything you want to throw in before I say my final thing?
No, it's been a blast. It was fun. You've been part of Diz Radio and the D team for so many years. It's good to come on your show now and actually make our stars align to chat.
Yeah, because I think this is about the third time you've been over on the show, because you've been on when we were the Neverland podcast, and I think this is the first time we've done a non-Disney topic.
I'm always open. Well, you know me. Diz Radio started as a Disney-centric show, and in the last 4 years, I swapped that completely, and now it's just a pop culture show.
Yep, and that's kind of about the same time that I was transitioning. I think we transitioned for some of the same reasons, too. Except for I still got a little bit of pop culture in me, but I'm mainly retro culture because I'm not in the pop market very well. I've never been popular.
I like to do it all.
Yeah, boy, do you
do it all.
You sure do. You do it all. And even because you have your own service, you're licensed, he actually gets to play songs in his podcast, which is kind of fun because I get to hear songs I've never heard before or old songs that you pull out. I'm like, oh, yeah, that was the theme to this cartoon. And he pulls out some good music sometimes. You got to check it out. All righty. But anyways, at this point of the show, we just got to tell you, get lost in an adventure. And we'll see you next time.